I always wondered in my life why I would always chase after validation, why I had to do everything perfectly, why before I could do anything well, I couldn't demonstrate it to anyone. I couldn't be vulnerable enough to show that I wasn't good at something. And this always held me back in doing so many different things in my life, especially starting a YouTube channel. Starting a YouTube channel has probably been the one thing I've been wanting to do since 2014. It's been something on my mind so often. I've never known what to say. I've never known what to do in front of the camera. I've never known what to give to the people that are watching in a video. And this always held me back because I always felt like I had to give something that was worth something. I had to do something and I had to do it perfectly. I had to speak and I had to speak perfectly. And this always held me back because I always felt the need to be perfect. I always felt like I had to do it like amazingly. Like I had to hit the ground running at 100 kilometers an hour. And I never understood why. And I never even knew I had this problem until last year when I finally mustered up the courage to do a YouTube channel. But in doing so, I had to break the resistance I had to changing a habit, which was I had to do it perfectly. And so I had to look inwardly and I had to ask myself, why am I expecting myself to do this perfectly? Why do I think that everyone watching is expecting some perfect video with perfect phrases, with a perfect delivery, with a perfect hook, with a perfect everything? How can I expect that of myself if I don't start somewhere, being a noob, being vulnerable and just allowing myself to be bad at something for once? It's just, I had such massive resistance to doing that. I had such a trouble doing that and I had to go over and over again in my head. Do I just continue doing this YouTube channel? I'm not getting a lot of views on my videos. I don't feel like anyone's really interested in what I have to say. And there were so many things in my head that were just reconfirming why I should stop, why I should quit, why I should just stop it there. And I've made about 87 videos, sorry. I've made about 87 videos now, and it was on like video 15 where I was feeling like I just don't think this is gonna work. I'm just not happy with it. And I just didn't realize that I was just in the process of becoming good, because you have to go through a process to become good at something. Once you learn how to make videos that people are interested in, once some videos catch on, once you understand that there are some things people are interested in, some things that they aren't interested in. There are ways of making a hook in a video that can hook people, and then there are ways of boring people out of their minds when you speak in a very monotonous format. And I never understood this. I was just thinking, I just wanted that dopamine fix of doing it perfectly, doing it well, and just getting tons and tons of views. And I never realized that the process I was going through, that vulnerable process where most people quit because it's very difficult to hold on in that moment, I had to keep telling myself, just allow yourself to be bad. Just allow yourself to be like, I'm not good. This, at the end of the day, all goes into a journey that you can then tell people later as to how you manage to go through or withstand that storm of feeling really, really bad and making YouTube videos. Because if I didn't go through that, then I wouldn't have been able to get to video 87 where I am now. And I'm so happy that I didn't quit, because now I've started to see some traction, at least who I'm speaking to. In the YouTube videos, I'm getting more of an understanding as to who I'm speaking to or who likes to see my content. And this is really motivating, because before I didn't know who I was speaking to, I didn't know where I was talking to, I didn't know who I was getting into my channel. And now I sort of do. It's sort of becoming a little bit easier. But last year, making that decision, I had to really, really fight my resistance to just say, like, I was telling myself to quit, I was telling myself to give up, don't continue. And now I realized that, you know, the reason why I wanted it to be perfect in the beginning was because I needed to have it perfect, or else I didn't want to do it. And I realized that this was actually a very common theme in my entire life. Like, everything I had ever done in my entire life had been from, you know, doing it perfectly. Everything that I wanted to do or excited me, I was doing it perfectly. When I first started my profession as an indoor cycling instructor, which is a group fitness instructor, I wasn't very good at it. It was only after year 5 out of the 10 years that I've been doing it that I actually start to see some results or some recognition for the skill that I had of conducting an indoor cycling class. But before that, I didn't really enjoy it. I mean, I didn't wake up in the morning and live and breathe it. I did enjoy the classes and the energy and instructing, yes, but it wasn't like, wow. It wasn't like everything to me because, and it wasn't even because I was bad at it. I wasn't bad at it, but it just wasn't important for me to be good at it because I wasn't getting that validation or that feedback that I wanted, that I was looking for in this job, that I was looking for in every single thing that I had done in my life. And I was trying to think, where does this come from? Like, why do I constantly need validation in things that I'm doing? Why do I constantly need praise that I'm doing a good job at something? And if I don't receive that praise, why do I not want to continue? Like that anxiety that paralyzes so many people, I just never wanted it to get a grip of me. I never wanted to feel like that was going to limit me and what I was going to do, but because I always needed external validation. And I realized this last year that I've always needed to be good at something before doing it, that it paralyzed me in so many things I wanted to do in my life. It paralyzed the heck out of me. When I was younger, I moved to Spain to play football when I was 15. And I had to adapt from coming from Asia, moving to Spain, which Spain obviously has a very high level of youth football. And I had to adapt with the language, I had to adapt with the team, I had to adapt with a coach that I couldn't really communicate with because I had to learn the language. And it was very hard to immerse myself in Spanish culture at the speed that it was. And, I always had a lot of resistance and fear to like putting myself forward and making myself seen and making myself sort of feel like the main character. I always felt like I was secondary. And I remember at one point I had gotten injured a few times, and this is when I was like 17, 18. I'd gotten injured a few times, and football I had this dream of becoming a professional football player, but when I was younger, I got injured so many times, and I kept having to compete for my position, obviously, because youth football in Spain is very, very, very competitive, and rightly so, because it's a very high level of football from academy players. And I was competing, and I just felt like I didn't enjoy it that much because I felt like what I enjoyed about football was being good at it. But as soon as I was made to feel like I wasn't good at it, then that took away the enthusiasm that I had for the game. And also having to compete for my position, which is very healthy at a young age. You have to work hard so that you can be better, so that you can play the position better than the other guy. Sometimes it's luck, sometimes there are a variety of different variables that have to be taken into consideration. But the main one was that I felt like I had to be super good and receive praise for it in order for me to continue. And as soon as I wasn't receiving that praise, I didn't really feel like doing it anymore. And so that actually led me to quitting football and then just saying, you know what, I think this professional football career is just a bit of a fantasy, so let me just move along. And I always thought about that my entire life. Like, I left this dream at like 17, 18. Maybe you don't make it into the national team of Spain. Maybe you don't make it into Real Madrid or Barcelona. But that doesn't mean it's over at 17 or 18. Like, you can change a lot in 2-3 years. And there are many leagues around the world that you can still make it into. But I said, I just gave up immediately. And I always thought about that. And that's what I looked back on last year when I was reflecting of this YouTube channel, why I was constantly needing to feel perfect and where these thoughts stemmed from, that I had to be perfect at everything. And it took me back to that memory. And I remember feeling like, wow, I think that memory had caused or etched such a huge mark in my mind that it actually formed part of my identity, that was then saying that you have to be perfect, and if you're not perfect, don't do it. And only do things that you're going to be perfect at. And until that happens, you don't have to enjoy it. But then I knew I couldn't have this mentality going into life, because there are so many things that you do in your life that you're not going to be good at. When you first start a business, you're not going to be good at the business. You're not going to be good at accounting. You're not going to be good at marketing. You're not going to be good at sales, but you have to just learn. And you can't just start when you're perfect, because you don't know when you're going to be perfect. And you won't know if you're perfect if you don't have the business. So you have to start the business first and then optimize and formulate things as they come your way. But you don't have to start perfectly. When you start a relationship, when you get into a relationship with someone, you don't know what they're like still. But you can get into a relationship after 2 months, but you still have no idea what the person is like. That doesn't mean you should never get into a relationship. You just have to optimize and formulate your path as it comes. But you're not going to be perfect as you do it when you start. And this is something so important. It's such a valuable lesson that I learned last year, especially with the YouTube channel, that I didn't have to be perfect when doing it. All I had to learn how to do was be as real as I could, speak clearly. I don't have to chop up the video so much. I don't have to like cut out the ifs, the Just do it, speak something very central to what is important to you. And I kept telling myself that. And now I've started to hear some good things come from the YouTube channel, which I'm really, really happy about. And I'm really happy that I didn't quit when I felt like quitting a few months ago. And so last year was a very massive year for me, reflecting on the fact that just because I needed, or I thought that I needed to be perfect at everything, after reflecting enough, I realized that you don't have to be perfect at everything. You don't actually have to have all the knowledge or know everything before you get started. You actually just have to start and then optimize, and things will fall into place as you go along. And I wish I knew this when I was younger, because I would have started a lot more things when I was younger. Instead, I was always overwhelmed with resistance or fear that I had to do it perfectly. But I don't feel like that is the case anymore. And I do feel like this is just a message for anyone out there who does want to start something, but is afraid or feels like they have to make it perfect or be perfect before they make it. You don't. You really don't. Just get started and do it scared. Don't be afraid to take messy action, because you can almost always guarantee that anything you do for the first time, it will be messy. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't try. Just make the mess and then clean it up after. Make the mess, clean it up after. And I promise you, you might actually change yourself into someone you really, really want to become. So if you guys like this video, please like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Give me a thumbs up. All the best.